I can't go and have one. Whatever. Yes.
The electron is ready.
Okay. Everybody happy? Okay. Put the first frame of the opener up, please. Everybody ready? Happy? Rodrigo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And 3, 2, 1, and roll it down. Hi, everybody. My name is Scott Healy, independent film director and president of the ECU Film Festival Group, which consists of 4 film festivals. ECU, the European Independent Film Festival, the All African Independent Film Festival, which takes place in Rwanda, the All Asian Independent Film Festival, which takes place in Phnom Penh, Cambodia, and the All Americas Independent Film Festival, which takes place in Mexico every year. So we're ducking and diving and bouncing and dodging bullets all over the place, trying to make the world a little bit better, one indie film at a time. Today is our ECU Friday Live. We're going musical, something that Rodrigo loves very much is musicals, but we're not doing musicals today. It's going to be called Behind the Soundtrack. And, you know, we all know how important music is to films. And I'll just tell a little story about when I was at film school a million years ago in New York City. My film instructor, older guy, very cool, done a lot of films and whatever. And he's talking about how important music was. And for those of us who'd already made films, understood this, but there were a couple of young people there were going, yeah, sure. What do you mean, old man? And the guy went, well, look, we'll play this film. And he played a film and he played Rise of the Valkyries behind it, very, very uplifting and very martial music and whatever. He played the film again and he had the Bee Gees doing Staying Alive, and it changed the whole mood of the film. And then he played Enya and it sort of took it down and very mystical. And then he said, okay, one of you girls, see, I've just proved it to you. And she said, excuse me, sir, Mr. Professor, do you mind if I play my music to it? And he's like, yeah, sure. You'll just find out that any music goes with anything, and we can manipulate emotions with the audience with any type of music. And the girl went, yeah, sure. So she plugged in her iPhone, and it was probably an iPod at that time, and maybe even a Walkman. And she played music from a band called Hole. I don't know whether any of my young people know what Hole is, but it was Courtney Love, the wife of the Nirvana singer. And it was basically people just yelling and screaming and making the most obscene, loud noises. And the guy went, okay, you win. It doesn't always work. But I believe that music does obviously play a huge part in making films and creating the emotional response that we want. So to join us today is an award-winning filmmaker, Nefeli. Nefeli is a video artist and filmmaker based in Switzerland, raised in Basel with a Greek father and a mother of Dutch and Danish descent. My goodness gracious me. She studied experimental and documentary filmmaking at the Lucerne School of Art and Design, graduating as a director in 2017, then went back and did a master's in fine arts in Basel as well. Been in a lot of film festivals. Her film was a special jury mention in 2022, To Be There. I'm very, very happy to talk to her from Naples. How are you today?
Hi, everybody. I'm fine. Thank you.
That's a wonderful, wonderful smile you've got on you there. So why don't you tell us a little bit about you and the path that you've trod before today?
Sorry, what the part
Tell
that
us a little bit about today, leading up to today on your professional filmmaking life.
Yes, so as you already said, I studied filmmaking in Lucerne with I was studying there and I graduated as a director. And after this, I was working as a freelancer for 5 years. And then I started to do a master in fine arts because I wanted to continue to work with the medium film, but in a more experimental and maybe a bit freer way. This is when I also made my own production company, which is supporting different ways of storytelling and female filmmaking. And yes, now we're working since 3 years with this company, and we're making different kind of projects, and I'm now developing a new one. Yes.
And where do people see your projects? Where do they go? Do they go into cinemas? Do they go on TV? They go where do people see them?
With my projects, it's very in different occasions, because sometimes I show them in art exhibitions, sometimes in film festivals. Only one work of mine is online, actually, the To Be There one, but the rest I
Okay.
keep locked.
Well, why don't we keep locked? I like that. Tell me a little bit about To Be There.
So To Be There is a story about 4 girls that go on a trip into the mountains, and they do kind of a social media detox, which is not really explained in the film, because they are there without their phones, and they still act in a way that as if the phones are present. And then throughout the film, they try to they start to lose the habits of seeing through this phone lens, and also maybe getting used again to certain kind of boredom. And this is also where they start to play and find a different kind of joy again.
My goodness, what's the recipe for that? How I'd love that to my daughter for a start, and her friends, and also my staff. Have you ever gone through the sort of social media telephone detox yourself?
No, I never did it. But also I really of course I use social media and everything to promote my stuff, but also I always use it a lot as a observational tool for my work. So it kind of is in my calendar when I use it and when not.
Let me ask you a question about what about the music in this film? What sort of role did the music play in your film?
So in this film, I actually use a lot of music, because not because, but yeah, I use a lot of music. I think the title song, which is called Screen, from this artist called Water, is maybe also is kind of the main introduction to or the most literal introduction to the social media theme. The film starts with this song and it also ends with it. It's kind of a loop, which is also something that I always work with in my films. And in the end, the language of the song is quite explicit, talking about screens and selfies and
Is it
yeah.
is that a song that you just picked up, or is this, and how did you find the song?
I was working at a music festival where I shot one takes with live sessions with artists. And then in the night, I mean, I didn't shoot with her, but she was playing in the night, and then I heard this song, and I picked it up there. And then a year later, I was making this film, and then I chose to use it.
Nice. And does she know about? I mean, obviously she knows about it. What did she think about you using it?
I think she liked it, but she didn't really. It was more we talked about it with the label.
Okay. They're funny
Or
things, musicians. You know that they want to be on film tracks and they do this, and then sometimes they sort of just they'll fight not to do it, and they'll give it to you, and then you never hear about them again. And then other ones, I've become very firm friends with some musicians that have done films with me, which is amazing. But here's a director to director question. When does music come into the project for you? Does it come in a big? And I'll say that because I've made projects where I get to the end of the edit and I've been using temp music or AC/DC or Bruce Springsteen, and then all of a sudden I sit there and I go, Jesus, we need music for this. And my editor says, oh, well, my wife's dog sitter's manicurist knows somebody who plays Namibian thumb guitars, which is what we need. And it sort of comes in really late and it messes me up. But when does music come into a project for you?
Okay, so now it's changed a lot for me, but then I mean, okay, then it was also quite early, because we also have the Britney Spears Baby One More Time song in it, which also just as a kind of a personal memory, which I put into the film. But in this film, it was really later that I started to work with a friend on the music, and I loved his music also before, and he gave me many options to play and also edit it already a bit by myself, and then we collaborated like this. It was a very organic process, let's say. But now I also during my master in fine arts, I started to be really interested in a certain kind of look that listens. So I've been working a lot with sound in a different way, in the sense of that I was adapting what I see. And so this is already a part of the writing, actually. And it also helps me a lot to make my films more sensational in a way. So yeah, I feel like through sound and music, you can feel it a lot. And before I was making only natural sound, I also was working quite close with musicians, and I already had the first notes of what we would use for the film late in the post-production already when we were on set. So something that I really enjoy having.
Yeah, me too. I tend to do that more. I think it's more experience that you go down there, and I mean, in a way, in the edit suite, and I think the magic is made in the edit suite. I love writing and I love being on set and whatever, but the magic really happens from in the edit suite. And I think, we could be sort of claim to manipulate the audience easier with music than anything else, I find. How do you think about that?
Yes, I also think that this is true in a way, but then yeah, to work with sound in a more subtle way is also I think it's also something that helps a lot. But it's not so placative. It's not something that you, I don't really like if there's too much of a stamp on the image.
Yeah, no, I am. Well, I always say that if the sound is not good in any film that I make, people say that my pictures are horrible, and people just don't understand the importance of sound. And my sound men, who I love to love and love to hate sometimes, having good sound is so important. And what you say as well, some sound editing that people don't even understand that all the work that's gone into it, but it really helps. Collaboration between you say you collaborate with a musician now. How does that work? Because we see pictures when we see words and whatever, and how does it work with your collaboration? Do you show them scenes beforehand? Do you work with them? Do you change to help them, or do they adapt to you? I know that's very collaborative, but what's your method?
My method is that I talk with them before we shoot, and then we talk about the feeling of the film, and then I let them just try out and collect some ideas, and then this, as I said, before the shoot, and then later in post-production, we listen to it more closely, or I already use it for the edit, and then we decide, or we start to work on it again.
Excellent. Okay, I'm going to open up the floor to Rodrigo, who's going to direct some questions towards you from my clever staff here who are dying to ask you some questions. So it's all to you, Rodrigo.
Perfect. So thank you very much for joining us today, Nefeli. We're very happy to have you here. And the first question actually comes from our intern, Chiara.
Hello, hi. I'm Chiara. I'm the girl from Napoli. So I wanted to ask, since you talked about it, how changed your soundtrack approach during these years? Because you were talking about this new film project you've been working on in Italy. So did you already thought about the soundtrack, if it's gonna be also something more related also to Italian culture, or so you have different approach now?
The last two films that I made, and also the last film I shot here in Napoli, close to the Ligali Islands, you probably know, were about the myth of the sirens from Greek mythology. And
Parthenope.
yes, Parthenope, but I was following more the Odyssey from Homer. And in this story or myth, the siren was never described as a real person or a figure, but more as a voice. So I was with the film that I made now here. It was really about sound and finding and making a story about the memory of sound and how it can survive over time like this, because it's not something that you could see or draw or capture. Yes, and also with the siren film that I made before this, there it was also the same theme, but there I had real people who were performing, and they did different kind of vocal exercises in order to find their main tone of voice. And then in the end, the siren song, in a sense, was a vocal drone. And like this, it was really the song of the film was part of the filmmaking of the making of the film itself. Yeah.
That's really interesting. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Our next question comes from Soraya.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. Everything you said was so interesting. But I actually kind of had like a question from a slightly different angle. Like, because obviously we spoke so much about like the importance of sound and like how it can emphasize the emotions and everything. But after watching your film, like you use like silence a lot. And I feel like a lot of films like they lean on like using instrumental when people aren't talking and like music when people are and sort of like always leaning on there being some sort of noise. But I really like noticed that you used silence a lot, and I was like hoping you could like talk more about that.
Yeah, I love to use silence as well, because on one hand, okay, it gives some kind of tension, but also I think maybe in this film particularly, it's also a bit the lack of language that is there. And this is related to, I mean, the film is in Swiss German, and for me, it's not a language that is really meant to be written in a sense, and you talk in a very reduced way. You would never say, "Can you please clean the dishes?" It's already passive aggressive. It's like, "Can you do this?" Or like it's a very strange way of using language. And yeah, I this kind of maybe also my alienated feeling with the language yeah, really went into this film.
Okay, that's so interesting. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for answering the questions, Ophelia. I actually have one question for you, and it's mostly about the Britney Spears scene. For example, sometimes whenever somebody uses a song or something, it's kind of hard to put the tone for the people, or for example, to get the actors to actually perform the song. Is it important for you to kind of like try to recreate the beat with environmental sounds, like the toothbrush or so on, or do you prefer to let the actors figure it out and experiment their way out?
I'm generally super interested in playing on set. I don't write scripts. I have a list of the scenes, and then another book of feelings of the different scenes. So what we do on set is that that everything that let's say the package of a moment is set in the sense of, okay, they have dinner at this table, and the scene is about this, and the feeling is like this and this, and but then we just try it out. And also with this scene, yeah, they were just playing and getting into the song. yeah, in a very maybe intimate, but also in a very cute way of being together. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much for answering our questions. Scott, we're going back to you.
Interesting. Sounds of silence as well. I think that's amazing. Let me ask you a question, because we've got a lot of clever young things sitting around the table here. Any advice that you could use? And I also find it fascinating that you don't write scripts. You're more about ideas and feelings. I like that. But advice when it comes to, we're talking about sound and soundtracks and music. Any advice you can offer these clever young things?
I mean, when it comes to sound, I think just be honest about it is my best advice. Because it can quickly feel fake. Also, the choice of a of a song.
Yeah, it's interesting. We deal a lot. We have musicians. We're in constant contact with musicians because they help us out with the festival and they play music and whatever. And they did say something the other day. It was about like, we can come up with a song that sounds like a Britney Spears song, but isn't a Britney Spears song because it costs too much money. What do you think about that type of stuff?
I don't know. I'm not really against it. I'm not pro. I mean, I would not copy something, but it also already happened that I wrote the text for a song that I wanted to have in my film to say explicitly something that I needed, and there it was also I was also picking up a certain style or a direction of music that I had made by friends who are musicians. So it was yeah, but it always depends on what you want to say with it. If it's
I find that I listen to a lot of music when I'm writing scripts, a lot, and so when I guess I'm like you. When you see words and whatever, you have a feeling that you're trying to establish in a mood. Definitely, I listen to a lot of Bruce Springsteen songs when I'm doing it, being a big Springsteen fan. But I've never managed to use any of his music. But I find that any advice that I could offer anybody is bring music in early. I spent a lot of years making films without having music in early. Because I find that it helps me create a vibe, and sometimes that vibe doesn't work, and I have to change. But it's sort of like changing the gels on your lights and a thing. I can definitely change the emotion and feeling of my films. But tell us, what's next for you?
Right now I'm writing a script for my new film. It's gonna be a feature about 3 delusional girls on holidays.
Well, I'm hoping that you can think about us next time you make your films and send them our way.
For sure.
So, this is again, it's a cold and gray and rainy Friday here, and all of my staff want to get out of here early and go and drink warm chocolate beside the fire. So I'm going to thank you very, very much for joining us today. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're doing here in Paris at the moment. On the 25th of March, we will be announcing the official selection for ECU 2026, which is a very exciting moment for us and for the filmmakers which will be in competition. We're going to do it at a launch party at a cafe and bar in Paris that we frequent quite often. So here's a little promo to show you what we're at. Well, there you go. If anybody's in Paris watching this, please jump on down to that used to be the Black Sheep Cafe to hang out with us. We're going to have some directors on site. We'll play some trailers from their films, talk to them, have some music and have some drinks, and just basically have a lot of fun as we announce the official selection. The festival in Paris is the 24th, 25th, and 26th of April this year. As always, a good event. We're always very happy to say that it's a selection of the world's best independent films. After that, we'll be going to the Americas in Mexico City to have the second edition of the All American Independent Film Festival. Then we're off back to Rwanda, Kigali, Rwanda. It's the most excellent place to have a film festival. The country is vibrant and growing and desperately desperately keen to show what they're making, these amazing filmmakers there. And then we're back to Phnom Penh in Cambodia. The Asian market is amazing. Some of the films coming out of there is just incredible. So that'll be on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of December. I'm going to wrap it up here from the ECU HQ. Nefeli, thank you very, very much for joining us. Keep making those films. And the takeaway that I got from you, which I wrote down, I just love it. It's like a look that listens. I love that. I'm still calculating that in my tiny brain to figure out what I can do with that. But yes, it was very good. To Rodrigo, who puts us through, and all the ECU crew, have a great weekend, everybody, and talk again soon. Ciao.
Thank you. Ciao.
Bye.